Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go ahead and analyze the game, and both players are rated in the 1100s. This game was played on chess.com. It was played on the chess. So let's get started. The game started out with e4, e5. This is a good start. Remember, it's important to have get a pawn in the center because it opens up lines for the bishop and the queen, and the pawn is in the center, so that's very, very important. The center squares are very, very important. So the game continues. Knight to f3, good move. You want to get the knight in the center. Knight to c6, knight to c3. This is all very, very good. Knight to f6. This is called the four knights game. So it's great. Bishop out. Pawn goes to d6. So just to let you know, when the pawn is moved to d6, notice that this bishop cannot get out to c5 or b4. So in my position, what I would probably do is for the bishop to maybe go with c5 or b4 right now. But okay, pawn to d6. Then what happens is pawn to d5. Again, what white could try to do in this position is to go knight to g5, and notice the knight and the bishop are attacking this pawn. But let's go back to what actually happened in the game. By the way, if you want me to analyze your chess game for free on my YouTube channel, please share the game with me. Donations are kindly appreciated. So let's go back to the game. And also, if you like watching my videos, I do invite you to subscribe to my channel. Okay, moving on. Let's go back to the game. D6, pawn to d3, bishop to e6. I think this is okay. I think the bishop can also go to g4 to pin the knight to the queen. Let's see what happens. Okay, bishop goes to g5. It's pinning the knight to the queen. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and then bishop to e7. And this makes sense. If you notice right now, the bishop is pinning the knight to the queen. When the bishop goes here, it gets the bishop out, and then this knight is no longer pinned, and black can castle on the very next move. So let's see what happens. Castle, and then queen goes to d7. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess maybe black wants to castle queen side. It seems like black wants to do that, but we'll see what happens. Okay, knight goes to d5. Now let's think about what's going on. Right now, it's not safe for the knight to take this pawn because the knight is protecting it. But if you notice, once this knight moved to d5, notice this pawn is not protected. So therefore, black did a very good move here by simply just taking this pawn because it's safe to take it. Then what happens is bishop goes to h4. Okay, and then bishop takes. Okay, that's fine. Knight takes, and then black decides to castle queen side. I think this is fine. I also think that black can also castle king side if he wants to, but he decided to castle queen side. Not bad. And the king is safe. This knight is very strong, by the way, because this knight's controlling a lot of squares, so that makes sense. Okay, rook goes here. It's attacking the knight, and black decides to move the knight to c5. Again, another alternative is for black to move the pawn to f5. If he does that, the pawn, it is protecting the knight. And again, it's not safe for the knight to take the pawn because of this queen. So I do prefer pawn to h5, but he did go knight to c5. Bit and the queen goes to d2. And then he goes f6. And okay, I think it's an okay move for right now. I think it's kind of passive, but I think it's okay. I mean, at least it stops the queen from going to g5. Okay. Pawn goes there, and then let's see what happens. The knight goes to e6. Okay, that makes sense. You gotta move the knight to a safe place. Pawn goes to b5. White is being aggressive right now, and so the knight goes there. Okay, that makes sense. So what happens is pawn goes to a4, and then black decides to go to c6. I am very confused about this move. You always want to ask, if I move here, is it safe? Moving the knight to c6 is not safe because the pawn can simply take it. So I'm not really too sure why the knight went back to c6. I mean, if you think about it, this knight has no safe places. Yeah, it has no safe places to go to. But if the pawn goes to c, well, yeah, I don't know. Never mind. This is simply not a good move right now. If I was black, what I would probably do is I would probably go pawn to g5 to attack the knight. The other good move is, I think that knight to c5. I also think that this would be also a good move. If you notice right now, notice that none of white's pawns can capture or attack the knight on c5. So this would be a very good outpost for the knight. But moving the knight here, that's just not a good move. Okay, pawn takes, and the pawn takes back, and this is a good move. You always want to ask, if I move here, is it safe? The natural move is for the queen to take this, but this is a huge mistake if the queen takes it, because if the queen takes, do you see what white's best move is? The best move is for the knight to go here. It is forking the queen and the king at the same time. So once the king moves, then the white knight can take the queen. So that would not be good for black. So it was good for black to take it with the pawn. This king is exposed right now, but let's see what happens. Rook goes to the a rook goes to b1. Okay, this makes sense because it is on the b file, but I think right now in this position I would probably just move my knight back. Or maybe we could go queen to a5. Or if you want to just keep it safe, I think maybe we should just go back with knight to e3. But rook goes there. Okay, and then pawn takes, that's a good move. And then queen goes to b4. And it's important to ask, like, okay, why did the queen go here? The queen is threatening checkmate, and black decides to take the pawn on a4. But this is crazy. Why do you want to give up the queen right now? I mean, I know that the white is threatening checkmate, but you don't need to move the queen. I think in this position we can simply just move the queen to c6, and black is perfectly fine, because if the queen goes here, king takes, and black is actually doing okay right now. So I am not too sure why the queen took the pawn. It's a big mistake. But again, white makes a mistake because white should have just taken the queen, but instead he checks. So both sides are making big mistakes right now. If you can simply just take a queen, like go ahead and just take it, right? But maybe he got confused. Maybe he thought that moving the queen to b8 would be checkmate, but it's not. So I'm not too sure. It's just next time take the queen, please. Okay, queen goes there, and then queen goes there. Okay. Let's see what happens. So it's a queen trade. Pawn takes. Rook goes here. I'm not really too sure about this move. If I was in this position, I would probably maybe go rook to b4 maybe, or maybe rook to a3. When you move you want to try to move and make a threat. So I'm not really too sure about this move. What is this threat then? I don't know. But okay. Rook goes there, knight goes here. Okay, so the white's threatening, oh, actually the white knight is attacking this pawn, but it's not safe to take it because of the knight. Rook goes there. Okay, rook protects. Okay. Moving the pawn to g3, it makes sense because the king has an escape square to go to g2. Okay, that makes sense. Knight goes there. Okay, knight takes. Okay, yeah, you know what? In this position, I would probably not go d4 because notice that when a knight goes there, this rook right now, it wants to go to e7. And once the white knight takes, pawn takes, and if you notice right now, the rook can safely just go to e7, and that's what white did. So if I was in this position, I would not go d4. I would probably go g6 and kick the knight out. And once the knight goes, or actually, yeah, I think like in this position, yeah, I would just go g6, and then once the knight goes to e3, then maybe we can go d4. That would be a lot better. But you don't want to open up lines for this rook, but that's what black did. Okay. Rook goes there. Yikes. So the rook is checking the king, this rook is protecting it. King goes here, and then pawn goes to f4. I'm not too sure what this move does. I'm concerned about this pawn, and if I was in this position, I would probably go maybe rook 1 to e2 to protect this pawn. That's what I would probably do, but let's go back to what actually happened in the game. Pawn goes here. I don't like this move because, again, let's do something about this pawn, but okay. Pawn takes, and black is in a winning position right now. Look at these passed pawns right now. Even black has a passed pawn on a7. Wow. Rook goes to e4, and then pawn goes to d3. Okay, time to get the pawns rolling. Rook goes there, and then black moves the pawn to d7. So d2, that makes sense. And then rook goes to d4. Black is in a good position. White is threatening to take the pawn. And then rook goes to b4. I don't like this move at all. I'm not too sure like what's going on. I think in this position what I would probably do is I would probably go c3 to get the passed pawns advancing together. That's very important, but okay, that's interesting. So rook takes, and then after that, I don't know what black is doing right now. How does this move? How like if you like moving here, this is not safe. I mean, white can just simply just take the queen right now. In this position, black can just try maybe rook goes here because if the rook takes, then the pawn can take it and then black gets a queen. Or if white does not take the rook and then if the king goes here, then obviously promoting the pawn to a queen right now, that's not gonna be safe because the rook can just take it, and if rook takes, then rook takes, so that wouldn't be safe. But in this position, I would simply just take this rook right now, and then black is still in a good position right now. So I'm not too sure why black decided to just promote the pawn to a queen right now. You always want to ask, like, if I move here, is it safe? Clearly, this is not safe, but that's what happened. Rook takes, yikes, and black is losing the advantage. Pawn goes here. Okay. Rook goes there. Okay. Yeah, I think this is tough. Maybe what black can do is because like black still has passed pawns. Maybe it would be better if the pawn can go to d5. You do want to try to advance the pawns together. That's what you want to try to do. This pawn is too far advanced right now. Rook takes so rook goes there, and then white. I mean, black just lost a pawn, so that's not good. Rook goes there. Oh, king goes there. Rook goes there. I don't understand why black moved the pawn to a5. Clearly, white is threatening to take this pawn. Let's move the pawn to c5. We gotta save these pawns, so moving the pawn here, no. Rook takes, yikes. And black is going downhill right now. Because there. I mean, this is a lost position because white is up a rook right now. I mean, black can still try to promote the pawn to a queen, but that's very hard to do right now. Okay, so king takes, rook goes there. I think right now is I would probably want to save these pawns. Like these pawns are very, very important. You don't want your opponent to just capture these pawns. So, d5. This is confusing. I mean, white just took a pawn. Let's just move the rook. Let's move the rook to b4 to protect the pawn. But okay, pawn goes there. Rook takes. This is a lost position, by the way. Okay, rook protects pawn. Okay. King goes there. And then, I mean, this is still very, very tough. Pawn takes. I'm sorry, rook takes. Rook goes there. And then, what happens? So right now, I don't know if white knows what is going on right now. If I was in this position, I would probably maybe move the king this way. So the king is closer to this pawn. So I'm not too sure why the king is going that way, but okay. Okay, this is how the game continues. Okay. Rook. Okay, so the rook is offering a trade. Rook doesn't trade. Okay. Okay, so in this position, let's see what happens. Oh my gosh, yikes. Again, you need to pay pay attention to what pieces are being attacked right now. White is threatening checkmate, and in this position, I think that we need to move the rook move the pawn to h6. Maybe that would be better, or maybe we can go rook to g2 or something, because white is threatening checkmate. So this is a blunder, and then white checkmates black. I thought this was an interesting move, but there was some crazy things that happened in this game. I thought that both sides played the opening pretty well. But again, moving the knight to d4, d5 is a mistake because again the knight's protecting the pawn. The black simply just took the pawn. But there were some huge mistakes. First of all, moving the knight to c6, that's a silly mistake. You don't want to move your pieces to unsafe places. If you continue to do that, it's going to be very hard for you to get to the next level. The next thing you gotta remember is like moving the queen to an unsafe place is a huge mistake. Black should really just move the queen to c6, and then black is doing okay. It seems scary that the queen can go to b8, but the king can simply just go to e7. To d7, and then black is doing okay. And then white should have just taken the queen. So this game was pretty crazy. So what else happens is, don't open up lines for your opponent's rook. That's not great. You wanna, instead of moving the knight here, let's just kick the knight out with g6, okay? So what happens is, black is fighting, and again is, hey, white's threatening to take this pawn. Let's move the pawn up, so the pawns are this pawn's protecting this pawn. You always want to ask, like, if I move here, is it safe? No, it's not safe to go here, but okay, rook takes. And then again, this is pretty silly. If I, like, you always want to ask, if I move here, is it safe? It is simply not safe to just promote the pawn to the queen right now because there's two rooks. So avoid making silly mistakes. That's gonna help your game, okay? And then the other thing is, pawns like to be advanced together. I would probably go d5. So this pawn is supporting this pawn, okay? So game continues, and then again, hey, this c7 pawn isn't important. Let's move the pawn to c5. So we can save the pawns, okay? Always ask the question, can my opponent safely capture a piece? And if your opponent can, you may want to just protect it so you don't lose any material, okay? So the game continues, and then if your opponent is threatening checkmate, you got to stop it. So we think that pawn to h6 would be good, or maybe rook to g2, or you can also check. I hope that you found this video to be helpful, and I hope you like watching my videos. If you would like to support my channel, all you need to do is to go click the support my channel button on this page. Then you can give a donation. Thanks in advance if you do that. If you like watching my videos, then I also invite you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.